I'm here with Brooke Berman. Thank you so much for joining.
Thank
Uh,
you.
you have a very impressive biography. You were an award-winning playwright, filmmaker, author. You've written three nonfiction books. One of them is your memoir, No Place Like Home, which was published by Random House. Your plays have been produced all over the world. Hunting and Gathering, Smashing, which you adapted for Natalie Portman, which brought you to film. Out of the Water, Sam and Lucy. You wrote scripts for Mark Gordon, Red Crown, Fugitive, Vox Films. You started making shorts in 2013,
Hmm?
and you made your feature directorial debut, Ramona at Midlife, uh, recently, a couple years
Yeah.
ago.
We shot in 22. We premiered in festivals. We shot in 22. We premiered in festivals in 23. And then we premiered in streaming in February of 25.
And it is now available on Prime,
Mhm.
Apple TV, Fandango, etc.
Yeah.
Uh, and your topic, which we workshopped a little bit, and I love where we ended up with it, is a playwright walks into a bar. So I will start the 20-minute timer. Um, why the topic of playwright walks into a bar?
Well, we were circling around changing lanes and early and late blooming and multiple bloomings and what it really came down to for me is that I started working in the theater. I was an actor and then I was a playwright. And then I always wanted to work in film, but it felt really inaccessible to me. I didn't really understand it. And I had the good fortune in 2004 to sell my play Smashing to Natalie Portman. And I quite naively said, I'm going to be the only person to do the writing. And Natalie, who just graduated college, also quite naively said yes. And it was going to be like a little community art project, right? Like she was going to star in it, and our friend Trip was going to direct it, and I was going to do the writing. And then she had just made Garden State, so she was going to call, I don't know, it was all very, and her mentor at the time was Mike Nichols. So Mike said that he would come and EP the whole thing. And um, it felt the way that theater feels when we were, when I was coming up and we would want to make a play. It'd be like, I can do this and you can do that, and let's do this, and we can do it in my backyard. We can invite our friends. It'll be so fun. Maybe we'll serve food. And so I was entirely unprepared for the way in which Hollywood actually works. And because I was repped at CAA and because I was working with really great people, I think they just assumed that I knew things I didn't know. And I was sent into the room to pitch. And I'd never had to pitch before. Playwrights don't pitch. And I was sent in really high level meetings where they would use terms I didn't understand. I remember somebody once asked me, I was pitching something or, whatever it is I thought pitching was back then. And somebody used the term set piece. And I literally never heard that phrase before. Like I kept thinking, do they mean a table? Like, what do they mean? What does that mean? And so, I think my agents were understandably frustrated with me. It wasn't until I had a meeting. I'd taken a meeting with the late great Linda Obst, and I pitched Linda something, and she was like, "No, that's not what pitching is." And she said, I really like you, so I'm going to give you the opportunity to repitch me, and here's how it's going to look. And I went to her hotel, like she was staying at Soho House, and I went to her hotel room and like watched her pack and like pitched her my thing. And then we worked together for a year. But it took somebody to actually sit me down and go, yeah, so here's what I need you to tell me the story. Because
Yeah.
playwrights just don't, if, I was saying to you earlier, if you were going to commission me to write a play, I could say to you, like, hey, I'm really into blue turtles right now. And you would say, cool, like, here's $5,000. Go write a play about blue turtles. And then I'd go away and have like a little organic discovery process.
Well,
I
when
remember, well, go ahead, no, you.
no, no, go ahead, go ahead.
I was in a pitch meeting when I first started. They asked me, I think it was the first meeting I ever went to, and I wound up not getting the job, but then being hired to rewrite the terrible writer they hired. And they said to me, how would you handle a point of view in this film? And I said, because I didn't know any better, well, I don't know yet. I work really organically, and so I trust that I'll find that in the process. And so, clearly they were like, don't give the job to her. So, because I had learned everything I knew about playwriting through being in plays, I felt that I had to go to LA to really understand like how the donuts get made. I just wanted to go be in the donut factory. So, I moved to LA and I started doing rewrite jobs because I figured if I could get hired to rewrite somebody else, they had already done the heavy lifting of structure. And I could just, as I was elevating whatever character thing they brought me in to elevate, I could take apart and learn what the original writer had done structurally and why. And it was a great learning process. Like in the 5 years I lived in LA, I really, really learned like what a movie is
Yeah.
and what it is not and why and how to pitch it and how to talk to executives so that they feel comfortable writing me a check and how and then the thing that happened, because also at first I remember in theater, the playwright is partners with the director. We're in the room the whole way through on a first production. We have meaningful consultation on casting. We get the final say on most design decisions, at least I used to. Um, we are sitting in rehearsal next to the director, and I'm often rewriting the play in the room. So the actors will be rehearsing, and the director and I will be sitting there going, you know what? Like, I don't think we need that line. Or, like, do you think she really says that? Maybe she should cross earlier. And once I was selling scripts in Hollywood and taking notes, I felt like, well, they're holding my best hand behind my back because I don't really know what something is until I see bodies do it. I have to see the bodies, and
Yeah.
then I know how to make it better. Um,
Well, this is
yeah.
exactly why I think like so we had originally we're going to go with the topic changing lanes mid-career, but a playwright walks into a bar was a nice transition because the way you were describing theater and like what the theater making process was like and that
There are a lot of
collaborative
bars.
nature and the improvisational aspect of it.
Hmm.
Um, I think this is the direction filmmaking is headed in right now. Um,
Well, I hope so. I think it's
yeah,
such a purely creative space. And, I've taught in film school for the last decade, and I've been shocked at the way in which the words I don't know are forbidden because as soon as you say I don't know, someone's like, oh, holy fuck, we're going to be here all day. And they're looking at their watch. But I don't
yeah,
know is actually the strongest thing you can say as an artist because then, one of my mentors, Dan Bogart, would say, you get up on your feet, you walk onto the set, and like your instincts tell you, your body tells you, because you're reading the thing that is living right in front of you.
yeah.
I
That-
think we all need to be able to say that and then trust that I don't know means we're going to go find it.
yeah, I think that belongs on a bumper sticker somewhere.
I know, but I mean, unfortunately, it's we all need jobs. So it's those are the words that prevent us from getting jobs. We have to lie and figure out how to pretend like we know things we don't know and assure everyone that it's going to be okay while we go discover the thing.
Yeah, but I think there are certain mediums that are more maybe that I don't know can't last forever, but there are certain mediums that are more inviting to um, I guess, improvisation or last minute decision making that is based on intuition.
Well,
Filmmaking is one of those
yeah,
that is very Hollywood filmmaking is one that's has been very resistant to that because there are so many people, there are so many departments, there's so much involved that needs to kind of be manufactured.
sure,
But
sure.
um, independent filmmaking has obviously always been different, but I think it's, non-D, if this really, becomes a movement, I think part of its DNA is going to be like a structural change to embracing intuition as part of
Well,
filmmaking.
I will tell you a couple of things. Number one, we shot Ramona at midlife in 15 days. So we were doing 7 pages a day. So I don't know, didn't actually mean we're going to sit down and stop. Do you know what I mean? It didn't turn into like a Think Fest, we were
Yeah.
making stuff and we did not go over at all. I mean, we did 15 days and then we wound up doing a pickup weekend for some establishing shots. Um, so it doesn't, so the that intuitive piece doesn't mean that you're not moving at a pace. And then I think the benefit of being a writer director is that as a writer, I'm very attached to the words that people say.
Yeah.
I have strong feelings about the words. So the improvisatory piece isn't like, yeah, say whatever you want, do whatever you want, and we'll just follow you. It's let's go find the thing. How do you feel right now? What do you want? What do you want to do? Great. Do that, but say this.
So here's a question: Is
Yeah.
you've seen your theatrical productions or your performed in multiple
Many,
venues?
many. Yeah.
Um, the film, you is there ever a time you want to change dialogue because you're like, oh, these two actors have a specific.
Absolutely. Yes,
That's
absolutely.
where the
And
filmmaking part.
yes.
Yeah.
And more than that, yes, 100% what you're saying. And then also the two leads in Ramona at Midlife are actors that I've been working with for 20 years. So there are moments when if I trust an actor,
Yeah.
part of the joy of it is saying, yeah, what do you think about that line? How do you want to say that? What
Yeah.
do you really want to say?
Yeah.
And yeah,
Yeah, no, I think that collaborative nature is just we're gonna see more and more of that. I know you had said that like before Ramona, you were working on trying to get a much bigger film made. Um,
mm,
it sounds like though things have worked out in the way that you would have wanted them to, because it seems like maybe that bigger production, bigger budget, less flexibility to have that kind of intuitive control.
no, I don't think so. I mean, that bigger budget wasn't weird and massive and huge.
Yeah,
Our budget was 1 million.
yeah.
And it was 1 million because we were going out to really high level talent. I had an incredible executive producer. Laura Lewis was on that film. My producing partner for that film is now a playwright. She's brilliant. And so I think it would have been a similarly creative, maybe flexible thing, but in order to get $1 million we would have needed a movie star, and we spent 2.5 years making offers to movie stars, and the whole time my husband kept saying, what are you doing? Like, why don't you just make a film? I made my first short for $10,000. So and it went to festivals and it did really well and I'm super proud of it, but like, yeah, so he kept saying, why don't you just make something with our friends for nothing? And when the pandemic happened, I remember I was listening to Mark Duplass
Mhm.
on somebody's podcast talking about, his infamous cavalry isn't coming speech. And I was walking across the Pulaski Bridge and I thought, holy fuck, he's right. And like, we had just made our last offer on the film was called Polly Freed. It was an adaptation of one of my plays. And we had made an offer to Jenny Slate and then found out she was pregnant and not going to make the movie. And then the pandemic happened and no, everything got shut down. And I thought, well, what am I doing? Like I'm gonna be 50. Like, what are we talking about? And so I sat down in the pandemic. I wrote a movie that I could make for as cheaply as possible with my friends. And that's what Ramona was. And I got a lot of my locations donated, and incredible actors came and worked for scale. I had a former student as the DP. Like it was brilliant. But it was really like the spirit was, let's all throw down and make something.
Yeah, I mean, and that is what I guess we are collectively calling non-D, non-dependent. Like that's what you did. You were a
Yeah,
pioneer of modern non-D filmmaking. But that's the distinction I think between the $1 million budget and what would be considered like a micro budget film. Um,
totally.
uh,
And I have to say, it
yeah.
felt a lot like being a playwright because what I learned making the short is that the playwright cinematographer or the director cinematographer relationship and the director editor relationship was what I loved so much about the playwright director relationship.
Hmm. Yeah, that's interesting. Um I guess I'm trying to think. We take our last 6.5 minutes. I
Yeah.
think you know um are you like, what do you want to be doing right now? Both theater and film, or are you leaning toward
Yeah.
one?
No,
Both?
no, no. I wrote a play last summer that I really love. I haven't I've been playwriting is like it's crazy ageist. So, as a middle-aged mid-career woman, I mean, no one's like knocking down my door right now, but like I love the theater and I love working and I don't want to direct my plays. I love working with theater directors. I love it so much. I have 3 or 4 theater projects I've developed in the last 5 years, one of which is brand new and I love it and I'm excited to work on that. Um, I'm about to go shoot the movie that I wrote for Mark Gordon 15 years ago that never got made, which is
Wow.
basically why I'm a director. Because there was this one moment when my development executive said, I'd know how to set this up if you wanted to direct it. And I was like, oh, no, no, no. And then that haunted me because the movie never got made. And now I know how to direct it. So I'm gonna go make that on my own. And then I wrote a film that I don't want to direct, that I want to sell and have someone who can command a bigger budget do it in a more conventional way.
That's so it sounds like at heart you are a writer, but
I think at heart I'm a writer, but I also loved producing Ramona. Loved it. And I think I'm at heart a collaborator.
yeah,
So I love writing.
yeah.
I love directing my own work. I don't think I'll direct other people's work. Um, I also am comfortable writing things that other people direct, but I want to be involved in the production because I have strong feelings about how things get made. And then I don't love what killed me about Hollywood is selling a script, turning it in, and then watching it go away. Like I want to see it live in the world. And I am so obstinate about getting these stories into the world. Like, I'll do it for you. I'll do it for my work. I'll do it for your work. I'll do it for everyone's work in Film Stack. I want us to all get our stories out.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean the community is amazing. But I think it's the way that you talked about theater and the camaraderie, the vibe, like you know, your face lit up. Like I could tell like this is such a joyous experience for you. And filmmaking isn't always like that, but
Mm,
uh I think we're now trying our best to make films that way. At least this community is. And
I
you
hope
you have
so.
insight from the theater world that you must have applied to Ramona, and that I imagine you could sort of share.
I mean, I would hope so. When I was shooting Ramona, I remember feeling like, even on the hard days, like I've been preparing for this job my whole life.
Hmm.
And it was really satisfying because I grew up working with actors. I went to graduate school at Juilliard. I sat in on all the acting classes. I trained with directors. I sat next to some brilliant directors in the theater talking about what we saw and how our tech process in theater is a lot like post. We have this week where we put all the technical elements on the play, and that's what post felt like.
Hmm.
So there are these elements that feel, and because theater's a collaborative art form and you need to get the butts in the seats for the play to exist, like there's
Yeah.
no, I mean, I guess now people stream plays, but I
Do they?
don't know why. I think it's horrible. Plays are meant to happen live. So
Yeah.
then there's this whole outreach piece where, we used to go around with little Gen X flyers like, come see my play. Would you come see my play? So the non-D community feels a little like that too.
I guess on the other on to kind of go off of that, do you feel like um film doesn't have that live experience.
Mm.
And the closest it does is the cinema, is the theater, and that's, being threatened right now. Does that sort of keep you more like holding on to theater as
No, no, because I've had some profound experiences in the cinema. I've had profound experiences in the literal movie theater cinema, but I've also had profound experiences watching things. I'm not a purist when it comes to how we consume these stories. Like, I'm also a working mom. So like when my son was little, the only movie theater I was going to get to go to was one that I could bring my 6-year-old to.
Yeah.
And so there were a lot of things that were meaningful to me that I watched at home. I don't have a judgment about that.
Yeah, I'm the
But I
same.
do think we need collective space.
Yes. Yes. I think, yeah. Um, I think there are a lot of elements that, I mean, there are a lot of elements that were taken from theater that were part of film's origination. And I think it's gone in such a different direction that it's
Mm.
now time to maybe actually look back at what is the origin of film. Yes, it's
Yeah.
the photography element, but it's also a theatrical experience that,
When
uh,
I was
yeah.
quite young, like probably a college student, I heard an avant-garde theater, like outside, like downtown theater rebel say, when did we let our theater become their business?
Hmm.
And I think film, certainly Hollywood film, has always been their business. So the question then is, how do artists monetize what we do so that we can live as artists? I don't know if you were in Ted Hope's show and tell
Just there.
webinar the other day.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was really moved when Ted talked about how important it was for filmmakers to monetize our time and our contributions and to get paid to promote our films. I mean, like light bulbs went off in my brain. But at the same time, we still need to be in the center of that business. So it can't be that we're reliant on whatever comes up in place of the studio system to introduce us to each other. I mean, I
Yes.
remember in Hollywood, my agents would say, like, who do you want to meet? And I would think, but I already know all that. Like, I went to Juilliard, I know these actors. Like, they have done my work. Like, Michael Chernus and I were roommates. Like, I don't know, who do I want to meet? Val Kilmer, he went to Juilliard. Like, like the artists in New York all knew each other. So we would go and make our work together. And then we would bring the producers in to go sell the work. And in Hollywood, it was a reverse. The agencies are in the center of all of it. And that's why they were getting money packaging. Like they would introduce me to you, and then they would attach that person, and then that director would come in, and then that producer, and it would all go through a central sort of business infrastructure,
Yeah.
which is amazing. I mean, my life was really easy in that moment, but I think artists have to be at the center of the business.
Yes.
And one thing I love about the non-D is that we're not asking anyone to come in and save us. We're getting inside of distribution. We're getting inside of marketing. We're getting inside of micro cinema. We're getting inside of how the films get made, where they get shown, and how we talk about all of it. And then we can have business partners 100%.
Yeah. Uh, we did hit our 20 minutes, but
Okay.
I want to like kind of just linger on this for a moment because people who I don't know when this episode will come, but so many of my interviews are about making film a sustainable ecosystem, and I think just everybody is really thinking about it and thinking about every part of it and how to make it truly non-dependent. And it gives me a lot of optimism that everyone is really on the same page in that regard, that we need a sustainable ecosystem.
Totally.
We're figuring out little things, and certainly, you making Ramona is like a great example of like you we you can make a film with less than you think.
Yeah,
A lot of us are
that's
realizing
right.
that. I went through the
That's
same
right.
thing. Like, that's a big step. And the one of the interview I just want to like one thing that really stuck with me that someone said recently is like risk taking is it's like part of the DNA of any meaningful creation process for an artist.
Mm.
And like Hollywood, even what we've once looked at as like independent films, they've just lost all risk tolerance. And we then kind of created this like the starving artist. They're like, you know, the artist has to take on all of their risk.
Mm.
But I'm seeing a shift in um, I'm sorry if this is like a little bit tangential, but I think it connects. I'm starting to see a shift in mentality where we are starting to look at risk taking. Maybe this comes back to like theater. I don't know. But we're looking at risk taking as an integral part of the process and therefore communal, and therefore not as um, failure. Little failures are like embedded in the structural system that we're going to create. I don't know if that quite makes sense, but that's sort
Yeah.
of what I've been hearing a lot of, and I think it's really
Well,
important. And
yeah,
I,
I would
yeah,
agree. It's also the difference between investing in an artist's career as opposed to investing in a single movie.
yes,
I
yes,
mean, Ted was also saying it's not about this film, it's about a whole bunch of films. It's about the way that all of these films are connecting to the culture. It's about a larger zeitgeist in the culture. It's about a slate of films. It's about,
yes, exactly. And I think we are going to figure out like actual economic systems that are going to share that risk taking. Um,
I mean, that would be amazing. That
there,
would be so because people are hungry for stories. They are. They always are.
yeah,
Storytelling isn't going to go away.
yeah, and the best stories require some risk.
I
And
tell my students when people tell you the industry is a dumpster fire, I want you to light up and smile and say, "Isn't that great? There's room for me."
that that's the perfect like a playwright walks into a bar. That's what you discover at the bar. Um,
So,
and
well,
that
you
is
discover other people at the bar because circling back to the bar, when
yeah.
I lived with Michael Chernus, he used to do this thing called Mondays with Chernus, and we would all go to this one bar, the East 4th Street bar across the street from New York Theater Workshop every Monday night, and you'd see the whole community there, the actors, the designers, the writers, the directors. We'd all just be in the room together, and so many projects got born
Hmm.
because we were at the bar together that night, and not even drinking. I mean, sometimes we were drinking, but we weren't always drinking. But we were playing pool and we were playing darts. And he used to play this video game and we would, Big Buck Hunter. We were playing Big Buck Hunter and we were flirting and we were telling stories and commiserating. And so things happen. That's how things happen is we go meet each other.
Well, those two things connect so well because the dumpster fire is here, and what is this community? We're all at the bar right now,
Yeah.
in the middle of the dumpster fire. So
Yeah.
I think all the good things are about to start coming.
I love that so much.
This has been really great. Thank you so
Yeah,
much.
same. Thanks for asking.
Thank you very much for coming on, and yeah, we'll talk
All right.
soon.
Take care.
Take care.